Hi, my name is Ka, and welcome to Pitch Points. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome to the show. Welcome to my friends who are here today, this morning, this afternoon. Martin, welcome from the Mancunian way. Welcome, brother.
Good afternoon, good morning, wherever everyone is. Good evening. I never know where everyone is anymore.
Absolutely. And of course, Patrick from True City Fan. Welcome to the show, brother. How are you?
I'm good, man. I don't know. Am I the only one who sees things are freezing? I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
Everything's not freezing here. Everything seems to be fine. Martin, are things freezing on your end?
No, it just froze. It wasn't freezing. It was a bit glitchy on the intro. That was all.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's a work in process, so we'll do that. But welcome everyone. Adam says to join us in a bit. Just so this morning, I woke up this morning, getting my kids ready for school, and there's a whole meltdown on the internet. I mean, I've had more fun blocking people this morning than I have in a long time because the meltdown is just absolutely absurd. And I'm asking myself a question, Martin. I'm saying, is the Premier League over? Did we get kicked out of the Champions League? Are we out of the FA Cup? Are we sixth? Are we ninth? Are we relegated? What's going on? What did we lose, Martin? What happened overnight?
I'm a little bit flabbergasted. For me, criticism is fine. I think some of the criticism is going way, way overboard. Way, way overboard. And I don't understand it. I don't understand the anger behind everything. Do you know what makes me laugh? And I'm sorry, I'm going to say this, and I shouldn't, but I'm going to say it anyway. It's how I feel. These are the same, some of these, and it's not everyone, these are some of the same City fans who had a pop at Liverpool and United fans for being six and saying we're in a crisis. And City fans would go, well, you don't know what a crisis is. Six is not a crisis. We are second in the league. We're not even halfway. And everyone's suddenly throwing the baby out with the bathwater. And I don't get it. I don't get it. Maybe it's me. Like I keep saying, I'm an old dinosaur. Maybe it's me. I don't know.
I mean, and for those out there, welcome McLovin, welcome Abdallah, Adam, welcome. Patrick, I get the idea, but is it really fair to expect this team to go back to back to back to win all four competitions, to win every single game, every single week, every single day, 3 days a week? Is it fair to expect that? Is it fair to expect that they perform at 100% all the time, every time?
I think I understand some people. I understand some people are going extreme, but I think I understand certain people because I think it's the fact of the performance. As Veda Game said yesterday, that he doesn't care about the losing, as most people don't. It's just that some people are just performing as if they don't care. Like yesterday, the amount of times you could shout, pass the ball, pass the ball, pass the ball. What are you doing? Pass the ball to either Gundogan, pass the ball the right way to either Gomez or Cancelo. You could see Laporte's frustration from the midfielders, Phillips misplacing passes or letting his man go. So I think that's it, and I get it. The players are humans, somebody said this morning, and we all know they're humans. But I think if the performance was a bit of a fight, but look, I remember when we did the Brentford reaction, a few people said, no, the reason why some of these players, their heads were gone because they were thinking about the World Cup. And I sort of accepted that. But I've been saying this for a long time. Carl, you remember, I've been saying this. I've been being the negative one, saying this team doesn't seem right, even if they win. I said against West Ham with the first game with what's his name, Haaland. I said something seems to not be right in this team. That's just from me. I'm just being honest. It's just something seems like it's not gel. And guess what? And guess what? Our captain comes out and says something similar, that I think we're not gelled and this can be a World Cup call.
But I have a solution for that. I'm telling you that this is absolutely normal. See, the problem is we're so used to winning that we expect them to win every single game and perform at the very highest levels in every single game. This is abnormal. Guys out there, what is normal is that a club wins the league like Chelsea have done and they regress. That Liverpool win the league the first season and they're at 6th. That United win the league and they're not there for 10 years. What's abnormal is that every single year you are at the highest levels. Every single year. I'll give an example, Martin, and then Vader's coming onto the show. Welcome, Vader. Good morning. I'll give an example from my own perspective, right? So last season we won 28 games in my league, right? We won all the games. My biggest worry now is how do I motivate these kids to go again in spring, starting in a couple of weeks' time, to perform at that level in every single game. And you know what the hardest game was for us, Martin? The hardest game for us to play was not our rivals. The toughest team that we can play was the person who was at the bottom of the league.
Yeah, because you're a scalp.
It was the hardest game to play. They were the ones who wound us up the most. They were the ones who got stuck into us. They were the ones who pressed us because we're the top of the league. Because it's hard to motivate players to go again after they've won and won and won and won. You can't.
Well, it's like I said earlier on, United have this for 10, 20 years where every single team raise their game against them. Every single team. We see it week in, week out. Everton come to the Etihad and they absolutely play the game of their lives. They block everything, stop everything. 4 days later, they get smacked at home by Brighton 4-1.
4-1.
Where was the same energy then from Everton? Wasn't there. Now, I'm not saying that's an excuse. Yes, but the one thing I do want to touch on today is I've heard this. Well, it's Pep's fault. He played everyone out of position. Go through that team. Other than Kyle Walker, nobody was out of position. Maybe Jack Grealish. Everyone else was a bang where you would expect them to be. Calvin Phillips, CDM. João Cancelo was a right back when he signed. Mm-hmm. Gomez is a left back. Mm-hmm. We know Gomez is not good enough. Sorry, but he's not. Mm-hmm. Cole Palmer, all we heard for 3 weeks was, I don't want to see him on the left. I want to see him on his natural right.
Correct.
He was on his natural right. Foden, I want to see him in the middle. He goes in the middle. Alvarez, I want to see him up top. He was up top. So tell me who was out of position yesterday, other than Walker and Grealish, where Pep's got this team totally wrong.
Again,
I don't understand this. They're out of position. They were not out of position.
And I want to come to Vader games, right? Vader, again, this is just kind of, the title of the stream is Calm Heads, Clear Minds Required, right? Calm heads and clear minds. The context around this is, listen, it's a Carabao Cup. We went out to Southampton. In my mind's eye, I'm thinking, thank God we're out, because I don't want to play Newcastle twice and United twice in 4 weeks when I have to play Tottenham twice, Arsenal twice, and I have to play Wolves, and then I have to play RB Leipzig. Help me understand this, Vader.
Yeah, no, and again, I'm a Libra myself, so I tend to be very balanced. I'm calculated, but when you look down the road, when you look at the future and you see what the schedule is, and again, to your point, the fixtures that are going to be coming up and the opponents that we have makes total sense. I agree. I see the silver lining with regards to, us being out of this cup. However, speaking for some fans, right? Looking at some of the meltdowns that we've seen, the most recently we saw Liverpool go as far as they could with regards to this pursuit with competing in as many competitions as they could. Would we look at our squad? Would we look at our manager and expect the same? Many fans have that perspective. We just saw it last year. Disappointed to not see it this year. Now, I'm very different in the sense that I'm looking at the players and how they perform. To your point, I'm looking at the mentality of these players, knowing what it takes to get the ultimate goal, which again, we've all said it many times, it's the 2 majors that we want. So I understand how players may be looking forward to those things, and again, with the results of the past seasons may not have the same energy and urge. But when we have Gundogan, when we have Pep mention that some of the players aren't showing that they're up for the fight per se, I think that's where some of this meltdown's coming from for some of the fans. They're seeing that we're not our typical sharpness, and that's why this channel and the panel and your perspective is so valuable, because it's like, listen, you're not seeing the sharpness, but maybe the sharpness is because it's for the latter stages of the season. And I think what makes Pep fantastic as a manager and as a coach is that he realizes that it's not going to be rinse and repeat. I've got to continue to evolve. I've got to continue to challenge these players and put them in difficult situations to see what they're made of, because that's what's going to be required to possibly three-peat and to possibly raise the big-eared trophy. So we're fans, man. And the fans that are having the meltdown, scale it back. My only issue is the word choices with some of the fans and how they want to talk about players and how they want to talk about performances. It's just take it easy with the word choice. But the performance, and I know I'm long-winded here, but the performance is where I was just scratching my head a lot yesterday, Carl.
But Vader and Patrick, coming to you, Patrick, but are you surprised with the performance? I'm not surprised at the performance. I'm not surprised at Brentford and at Everton. I'm not surprised at that.
Brentford, not so much. I hear you. I'll tell
you why I'm not surprised, guys, out there. I'm not surprised because in the minds of the players, right? We've done this 1,000 times, guys. I know you want me to push myself to 100%. I know, Coach Pep, I know you want to push me. I just can't feel the Carabao Cup this time around, brother. I'm just not there yet. I've done it twice. I've done it 4 times. I've done the league back to back. I have my eye on that beautiful girl that I want, the big ear girl. That's what I want with all my life. I know that's what you want too, Pep. So maybe this year, if we win nothing but the big ears, maybe that's it. And we wash our hands, we go again next year. Again, I just think that we need to be careful not to throw the whole baby out with the bathwater, crucify the whole team because we went out of the Carabao Cup. Oh, by the way, Arsenal went out of the Carabao Cup a couple of weeks ago. Patrick, why is it that this team is able to step up in the big games, Liverpool, Chelsea twice, but struggle against Everton, Brentford, Southampton, with all due respect? What's going on? What can we learn from that, Veta and Martin? Is there a psychology issue here?
Yes, possibly.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I think there's possibly a psychological issue, but I think there's also an issue of, you look at Crystal Palace, you look at Southampton, you look at even Tottenham. They don't play the same way when they play Liverpool or they play United. When they play us, it's all or nothing to beat us. I swear, honestly, last season we got beat at home by Crystal Palace 2-0 in October. And everyone's like, oh, hang on a minute, where did that come from? And then, we got knocked out on penalties by West Ham. I was sat there watching it thinking, what was going on, and we played Cole Palmer and all that in the same, and that wasn't a great performance. Trust me, no, it wasn't. Anyone who was sat in the car with me coming back after that 5-hour drive on that Wednesday evening would have been like having a meltdown because I was having a right padder. But it's football. This season, there's so many things that have changed. We've got a number. I've heard today Haaland's covering up all our cracks.
Oh, goodness me.
We're doing this, we're doing that. This play's not. It's like all of a sudden now, half the squad's got to go. Calvin Phillips has been hung, drawn, and quartered, and that was his first full 90 minutes nearly yesterday.
60 minutes, Martin.
So, exactly. And everyone's hung, drawn, and quartered him. Cole Palmer, Gomez. We know Gomez is not good enough. We didn't get a left back. He took the gamble. Did fans want us to spend 65 million on Cucurella? Is that what they wanted? Did they just any left back will do? And now it's like Ferland Mendy. Let's spend 60 million on Ferland Mendy. If he ain't good enough for Real Madrid, he ain't good enough for Manchester City.
Again,
well, are we just going to grab any left back from anywhere now just to get a left back into the team? It's not FIFA.
Well, Vader, Martin, you're absolutely right. This is why the title here is Calm Heads and Clear Minds. And let's not forget, guys, right? Of the 4 Carabao Cup titles that we won, 2 of them, right, we won on penalties in the round of 16 of the quarterfinals. What if it lost? Mm-hmm. What if Wolves had beaten us on penalties? Because Adama bullied us in that game. What if Leicester, when Mars was there, had put his penalty away? We're out. In the year that we won, became Centurions, Wigan Athletic, League One, beat the Manchester Centurions 1-0.
Yeah,
right.
I was there at that one as well, and that hurt. And that's when we had Fabian Delph at left back.
It's football. That's fine. Guys out there, this is football. You love it when it's bad, and you love it when it's good. You can't expect these guys to run hot. Look, Liverpool tried to do it. Right? Liverpool tried to match City at 100% for 2 seasons. Look at where they are right now, 8th or 6th. They're killed. It's hard to go year after year after year at the same level. You're going to have ups and downs.
Do you know what scares me, Carl? Sorry, mate. Go on, mate.
You're on mute, wait, Vader. You're muted. Vader, you're muted.
Do you want me to go?
Yeah, go.
Yeah. The scary thing is here, Chelsea and Liverpool fans aren't having a meltdown like we are. And where are they in the league, Carl?
One is 10th. One is 6th. Imagine we were 10th position.
And we are melting down more than them.
Well, Martin, imagine we're in 10th position, right? We're out of the Carabao Cup, out of the FA Cup. We have no chance of Europe. What happens then? What are you going to do then?
I don't want to imagine it. You know, there's an old saying. There is an old saying. If you can't support us when we're losing, don't support us when we're winning. And people seem to think that is some kind of knock. It's not. But we've fallen into this trap of, well, it's not like it was 20 years ago. Listen, I know it's not. I'm not saying I want to go back to Main Road. I don't want to go back to playing York, thanks very much. As much as it was fun being in the terrace listening to all that, it was dross football. I don't want to go back to that. I'm loving what I'm watching. But I'm sat there going, I've heard it's the worst performance ever under Pep Guardiola. No, it's not. We got smacked against Leicester City 4-1 at the King Power. 4-0. I was there at that one. I'm sorry. No, it's not the worst performance under Pep. I just think we've hit the panic button far. But Carl, when does City come good? When have we always come good?
We always come good. In February, March, April, we always come good.
What month are we in?
We're technically we're still in like early December with the game schedule.
Yeah. So you know, if we hit March and we're 10 points behind and we get beat by Arsenal, United, then yes, then we can sit down and we can go, right, there is something wrong. But even then, I'm not having a meltdown because I've said this 16,000 times. Kyle Walker is not the same Kyle Walker of 4 years ago.
Well, Martin,
he's 4 years older.
I want to address his comment. Comments here says, Blue says, bro, I'm not confident at all we will make a trophyless. So what? If we go trophyless this season, so what?
Are you gonna give up supporting the club?
It's an off year. So what?
Yeah.
Under Pep's first season, we went trophyless, came back in next season, 100 points. So what?
This is the problem, Carl. We've fallen, and I'm saying this so I'm blue in the face. We've fallen into the trap what we all said we didn't want to be. We all said we didn't want to be United and Liverpool fans. We've laughed at Liverpool and United fans when they've had a meltdown over getting beat. And we've all gone, they're spoiled, they're arrogant. Tell me the difference right now. Not one City fan can have a go at Liverpool or United ever again if this is the reaction. And this is not me trying to tell your grandma how to suck eggs. This is me just saying, sit back and think about it. Are the performances good enough? No. I hold my hand up. They are not good enough. Do you think Pep Guardiola's stupid? Do you think Pep Guardiola sat there going, these performances are brilliant? Do not believe what he says in the press. Guardiola said a long time ago, go back to that Amazon documentary. What did he say, Carl, to the players in the dressing room? I will protect you to the media. I will protect you. But in here, I will rollick you. Do you think Pep Guardiola went into that dressing room last night and sat down and shook all their hands and went, great game, lads? He absolutely ripped a new one in every single one of them. And I'm telling you now, sorry, whether we like it or not, certain players are probably done now. I don't expect to see Gomez in a blue shirt for the rest of the season. Yeah. I think that experiment's done. I think João Cancelo is very, very close to ending his career at City the way he's going. There was something going on there between Pep and him. Yeah. Cole Palmer, don't be surprised if he's on loan next year.
Yeah.
Because he's not ready. Yeah. Doesn't mean he's a bad player. He's not ready. What we do is we do this all the time. We're very reactionary. McAtee is scoring a goal for Sheffield United. He should be in our first team. Why? What? Because he's at Sheffield United?
Then there's another view I have is if the manager is experimenting with Walker at the back, Gomez, Palm, and all these kids and playing Foden in midfield against Southampton in the Carabao Cup, what does that tell you about the priority of this competition versus the Premier League and the Champions League? Or even the FA Cup?
It's at the bottom. It's at the bottom.
So the manager takes the risk. The risk doesn't work. He moves on.
Do you know what? I'd rather him take a risk in the Carabao Cup than rather take him risk in what he did in the Champions League final.
100%. 100%, Martin.
Do you know what I mean? Which one do you want him to take the risk in? Pep can't win sometimes. And, do I think this year there's a little bit of... I do think Pep's a bit scared of the players in terms of, if you remember, Sterling, Zinchenko and Gabby all went because he couldn't guarantee him the first team football. And there was a stat I read earlier in the season. He's rotated the squad more than ever because he's trying to give everyone the same amount of games. Because I think mentally that upset Pep last year. If you sat with Pep, I don't think he really wanted to sell those three players. He sold them because I can't give you the game time. So I think he's overcompensated a little bit this year and tried to play everybody, trying to give everyone the same amount of minutes. But trust me now, if you what's the date today? The 12th of January. Get that squad list up. I'm telling you now, when we come back to this mid-August, that squad list will look very, very different. Very, very different. He's not signed a 2-year contract because Kyle Walker's staying there till he's 38. Kevin De Bruyne is staying there till he's 36. That ain't happening. Some of them players are coming to the end. It happens. They are older. They get more injuries. They're not the same players they were 3-4 years ago. This is what gets me. Kyle Walker's not good enough. Well, he's 4 years older than he was. Can you go to the gym at 50 and do the same way you did at 21? No, you can't.
I try. I get hamstring.
That's human nature.
I get quad injuries. It's
what it is. We've still got 4 or 5 players that are in the 30s.
Martin, even with the transition we're going through, we're still only 5 points behind Arsenal, and we yet to play them twice.
Yeah, exactly.
Charlie makes a very great comment here. Well, here's what Charlie says, right? Charlie says Arsenal lost 4-1 in the Carabao Cup. 4-1.
And they also drew 0-0 with Newcastle. I didn't hear a meltdown.
So why are we where is this meltdown coming from? Why? Veta.
Check 1 2. Check 1 2.
Check
We're good.
1 2. Check. Yep. Clear.
Oh my gosh! I had to start the computer over again. Oh, it's crazy. Meltdown isn't justified. However, when we look at the individual play of these players, when we look at the form most recently with this game, we can definitely raise our hands and say Cancelo needs to fix up. It's been 3 games right now where no matter where Pep's put him, the fundamentals, passing the ball, being decisive, being sure of himself, we're not seeing that. I know Walker's been used differently amongst that back line, but again, it's the consistency that we haven't been seeing from these players that's raising the where's this going? What's with the squad? So the meltdown is not justified, but now the criticism of individual players and having to fix up again. We had that for Mahrez, we had that for Grealish, and one would argue fans were melting down prior to them turning things around, right?
Yep.
The same thing's kind of happening now, and
It's
happening at the right time. I'll say that.
Right, Vader. I want to give context to what's going on right now. And this is my own understanding. I'm looking at it from a very, clear head, clear minds. Right. It's no surprise, Patrick, that in the very big games, these guys, Liverpool smacked them at home. Could have been 4-2. Chelsea, home and away, bang, bang. United, 6-3. 6-3. Now, these are our rivals that we played. Okay, we went to Anfield, we lost 1-0 with a stupid mistake. Fine, we could have won that game, by the way, right? Because that should have been a goal, should have been 1-1. But in these big games, these guys step up to the plate because they know it's their rival. They have to step up. It's no surprise that given the fact that they won back to back to back, there will be this, oh God, I have to play Southampton away again. And it's going to be a trudge versus I got to play Liverpool. It's big stakes. It's big show. It's big time. It's no surprise. This happens all the time. As I mentioned earlier on, when I play my other teams against the lower team in my league, it's harder for me to coach them to get up for that game because I think it's Allison's team. That it's okay. We just forget about it, right?
Yeah, but Carl, you get paid the big bucks. You're going to get paid the big bucks to be able to not have the natural human nature, the average, the consistent things that we're accustomed to seeing. You're going to be paid the big bucks to get more out of that.
I agree with you, but it's hard, Vader.
I know. No, I agree.
300 games. It's so hard to keep it. I mean, there's a whole thing about what's it called? What's that law again about 99% efficiency, 0.1% defects, right? Six Sigma, right? When we talk about Six Sigma, perfection is 100%. Even within Six Sigma, 99% is still perfection. There's still that error. There's still that 0.1 error, which means it's impossible to get to that level of perfection.
Yeah.
It's life. We're human beings.
Yeah, but
Carl,
but we're,
go ahead, Patrick. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I don't know. I get where you're coming from, but at the end of the day, let's look at it this way. Let's call a spade a spade. Everton trash. You drop points to them, and you play horrible football, and you try to play around. You go play Liverpool, who are down under. You give them a sniff of hope. They play Southampton, who are bottom, and you guys are better stars. You still up. That's why yesterday when I sat there, I was like, I have stopped giving excuses to some players, regardless of what position you're being put, because I think, as somebody told me, that team was good enough to beat that Southampton side, but there was a lack of desire. And then we talk about these misplaced passes we're seeing these days. I've never seen this. The last time I saw these misplaced passes was the time Pep came to City the first, and he was trying to teach people like Zabaleta, teach Caballero from passing from the back. That's when we saw these misplaced passes. First of all, Cancelo, somebody who had almost a 90-something pass accuracy or 80-something all the time high, giving away the ball easily. And let's not even get. I've been telling people that no matter people say Kevin De Bruyne has got magic moments, he had good games against Girona and the other game he had, and ever since then he's also misplacing passes. There's just something not right. I get it. Like look. No. Let me finish first, then you can come in. There's just something not right somewhere, because for somebody like De Bruyne, he does misplace passes, but not to that extent, especially against Everton and Leeds, even though we won Leeds game. And then you go to certain players, it's just like some of the passes are just like, there you go, it's yours. So I think that's where I think people are coming and saying, is there desire? I think yesterday, look, if Southampton did what they did to us like Brentford, because the Brentford one, I think is better than Southampton. The Brentford one, we saw a bit of a fight, but yesterday, sometimes you're like, my God, they're not even pressing. And that's the same team that was pressing against Chelsea.
But my argument to you is this. It's normal. What's abnormal is to win every single game and play 100% in every single game. That's not normal. That's angelic stuff. That's like for the gods, not for human beings. Again,
but
it's not the winning, Carl.
Give my argument. Hey, guys, hold on, right? I hear you guys out there that yes, it was horrible yesterday. It was horrible against Everton. I get that. What I'm telling you is that this is part of human nature. Perfection is a journey that we're trying to achieve. Sometimes we fall short, but then how do we respond in the next game? That's what's important. Not the fact that, oh, I had a bad game. Everybody has a bad game. You go to work sometimes, you have a bad day at work. You get fired. You get laid off for poor performance. But then how do you respond is the key. I get it. Yes, they were poor. They missed passes. De Bruyne hasn't 100%. But even with all that, they're still second.
Okay. All right. Let me ask you this. I know this is your show, Carl. So apologies.
All right.
As the manager, as the coach, and again, I always refer to you and Martin. How do you address the 11 that started that game today?
Simple. What I would do, they're not starting for me the next game. They're not starting for me the next game.
Okay.
I'm going back to my trusted 11 that I know who can do the job. Until I see you improve or your desire improves, Cancelo's not starting. Gomez is starting. Palmer's not starting. They're not starting for me. Period. There's a reason why, Martin, just a minute. There's a reason why I experimented in the game against Southampton in the Carabao Cup with those players, because I want to see if you can cut it against a high press energetic Southampton, and you didn't do the job. Therefore, you sit out, and I'm bringing my boys back in. Simple. That's it.
Okay.
There's a big thing here that's totally different. I mean, just like Pat's point on Kevin De Bruyne, you're going to look at what Kevin De Bruyne is doing this year more than ever. Kevin De Bruyne has always been able to put a pinpoint cross in, or if you look at a lot of his passes to 5-10 yards. Now what we're doing is, and people think this is mad, but honestly, this is where I'm looking at it from a coach's point of view. Kevin De Bruyne is now trying to point 15, 20-yard passes over the top to Haaland. Now, the law of averages is when on a football pitch, if you're going to start pinging 15, 20-yard passes, unless they are absolutely bang on accurate, some of them are going to get intercepted, whether we like that or not.
It's life.
Because that is just the law of averages. If you go from 5 to 10-yard passes along the floor to the guy next to you or the guy in front of you, and then you start pinging 15, 20-yard passes over the top, well, sometimes this is the thing why I'm not labeling it at Haaland's door at all. We are playing a totally different way this year because we have brought in a direct number 9 who has his faults and has his absolute strengths. We all know his strengths. He's deadly in the box. But that is why, if you go back to Aguero, when Pep first came to the club, Aguero was very close to going out the door because he did exactly what Haaland did. So what he asked Aguero to do was, you've got to start coming back into the midfield, receiving the ball. You watch Haaland at the minute. He's changing his game very slowly. If you notice, he's coming into the midfield more to collect the ball, to give go. He's not just standing in the box anymore. I don't know if anyone's ever noticed that, but he's not just standing in a box anymore. He's now starting to. That's been done on purpose because Pep's trying to tell him you need to be more involved in the game. It has been 4 months. He is not going to turn round and just miraculously get this system right in it, especially when you've got 32, 33. Some of them are 34 years old. That is just I'm sorry. You look at all the players we're going for. How old are they? The 19, the 20, the 21. We are building for the next 10 years. We are January. Everyone thinks you can just go and buy in January. Buy him in January. It's not that simple. You can't just wave a wand and drop 200 million in January. You have to wait till the summer.
You can't get Chelsea.
Well, again, context is really key here, right? We lost a Carabao Cup game to Southampton. Oh, by the way, Arsenal lost theirs 4-1 and out of the competition. In the next 5 weeks, we have to play Arsenal twice, Tottenham twice, 2 Champions League games with RB Leipzig, play United, Wolves, and then we have to play Newcastle twice and then United again in 5 weeks. Come on, guys. If the manager's going to experiment, if those players can hold up, this was the game. And clearly they can't. And so we're out. And now we focus on what we need to do on Saturday against Tottenham, against Wolves, and prepare for Leipzig. Sir Alex Ferguson, in his best ever year, the Trevor Martin, remind me, did he win the Carabao Cup that year?
No.
When Liverpool won the Champions League, Martin, remind me, where did they finish in the league? 4th.
Yeah.
Remind me.
Even when we did the formidables, some dropped.
When Chelsea won the Champions League, where did they finish in the league? Remind me. 2021.
6th, 7th. Yeah, they weren't very good.
My point is, these guys are human beings. This is human nature. You will always have times where you're up for it. You're not up for it. Motivations are different for every player. Pep even said there are some players who are hungry to win the league by themselves again for the first time. Rico Lewis. And there are others who, not too sure. So let's calm heads, clear minds, and say, we're going to go again. We're going to go again.
Do you know what's one of the hardest things going as a manager? People think winning's great. Players can also get very bored of winning. I know that sounds totally mad, but trust me now, when I used to coach my team, we used to smack teams 19-0. I'm not kidding you. We were like 12-0 up at half time. And then you sit there and then you go the week after.
Whoa, Martin. So you didn't implement the 8 passes, 10 passes before a shot on goal? Like, you didn't do that?
No,
we don't.
I did.
We don't do that.
And you still put up that many.
No,
yeah, because
you guys
don't do that, Martin. We don't do that, do we? I don't do that stuff, man. I don't.
The one thing I don't want to say, I don't do what Pep. I do a little bit. I did a little bit of what Pep did, but I didn't do all this 15 passes at the back before we get forward. Yeah. I used to say to them, pass around in your midfield. That's fine. When you see a gap, go. But what I had is a very, very quick forward. A very quick forward who you could play a pinpoint pass through the middle, and he was on it like lightning. And it was a lot. It's very difficult. Sunday league football, Saturday league football is I know I've seen league games in America, academy levels, and they're playing on gorgeous pitches and gorgeous. Trust me, now in England, you're playing on mud pits. You can't sit playing little pretty football in the pouring down rain on a Sunday morning at 8:00, or on a frozen pitch. Sometimes you've got to play with what you got.
I'm just saying that 18 or 19 SmackDown, that sounds vicious.
No, it was, and they had 2 players that went on and became professional footballers, thankfully. But what I ended up having to do was my hardest thing was motivating them, because they got into this habit of, well, we just have to turn up. And then training became harder because they got cocky, they got arrogant, they got a little bit bored of this. Well, we're just turning up and beating people.
Yep.
And I'm like, yeah, I know that. And it was hard. And then when we played the team that was like the top 2 with us, we got beat because they went with an arrogant attitude. But no matter what you do, you cannot coach an arrogant attitude out of them. You can't do that. I can sit and I can go man management and talk and everything else, but I cannot sit there and say to them, don't be arrogant, because that's their mindset. I can't change mindsets. I can't get into a human brain and change that one. I wish I could, but I can't.
Vader, I'll tell you an example of what I do in coaching when I coach my kids. They won last year. They won all their games, right? Literally all their games. And I always tell them, listen, a team that's less talented than you will beat you, right? If they work harder than you. If you don't match their intensity, right, your skill won't come through, and you will get beat. There was a game where they were sloppy. It was a semifinal of our Champions League. They were sloppy, terrible, 0-0. We had to go to penalties. Unfortunately, we won the penalties and went to the final. They were sloppy. Attitude was terrible. Oh, we beat them before 5-1. This same team, Vader, we beat 7-1. It was so bad that the coach came to me and said, "Guy, are you going to score 8? Take it easy, man. What's going on with you?"
I've had that. I've had that.
Vader, we had to take players off the field and play, 10-11 just because we were sorry for this team. This same team came back in the semifinal and it was 0-0 because of the mentality.
Mm-hmm.
They're human beings. This happens all the time. The question is, how do you now react going forward? What do you do against United, against Wolves, against Tottenham? How do you react from the disappointment, the shock of poor performance, and now go forward? Nothing. I know that Twisted said, "Carl, I'm emotional. Talk about the tactics." There's no tactic to report yesterday. There's nothing. It was a shit show. It was a calamity. They were all
We didn't turn up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So not to get too far ahead of ourselves, because obviously there's going to be a United preview and things of that nature, and we're going to speculate on what we think might be the 11 and the formation and da. But maybe the energy, this meltdown energy, is premature. Maybe it's with how it's attributed to the Carabao Cup and the exit to Southampton. Fan base, relax, chill. To your point,
Maybe it's justified. Maybe you never know. It's justified.
Maybe, but this is what I'm going to put. And again, apologies, Carl. I know it's your show, but when we've got the big match, the big opponent, the expectation that every player should be raising their level because these are the matches that you should be prepared for. If we see a repeat performance with regards to not being up for it, being sloppy, energy level against United, alarm bells should be ringing.
Absolutely, 100%.
Okay, well, can I just come back on that? Can I come back on that? I get what you're saying, Beta, but if it happens, what then?
If we have a Southampton performance against United,
yeah, what then? Do we sack Pep?
No, it's not about sacking Pep, but it's about asking questions. Why are we seeing this performance amongst a squad that want to win? Again, they want to win the big ears if that's what their long-term vision is, that want to win the league. You can't be showing this against this opponent because Carl and Martin, you know this. It's not about light switch on, now I'm playing hard. That's not how it works.
Yeah. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I actually disagree. I think it actually works like that, actually. And you know why I'm saying that? If you think about the two teams that won the UCL, they were woeful in the league. Oh, they were horrible in the league. But somehow in the Champions League, bang, it's switching on. Chelsea, terrible on Tuchel in the league.
Yeah, but those are teams that have won it before and they have that experience already. Not City.
It has nothing to do with that part, Patrick. It has nothing to do.
Chelsea had no experience when they won it.
No, I'm saying the second time they won it when they beat us.
Even the first time they won it, same thing.
I don't like that. I don't like that correlation with winning your first Champions League means you're warful in the league. Like you're
no, we're not saying that. What we're saying is that the pattern is, look, I've said this time and time again, right? I talk about it every single year. And I keep saying, since Alex Ferguson, in God knows when, maybe 15, 20 years ago, whatever it is, no Premier League team has won both the Champions League and the Premier League in the same year. Why? Because it's bloody hard to do so. To run hard in two competitions at the same time. And then the treble is like, God almighty, that's like, whoa. Liverpool tried it last year. What happened to them this year?
But I have a question for you, Carl. Carl.
Yeah.
The
Patrick,
thing
go
is
ahead.
this, right? You keep focusing it on the Champions League, and I get it. But what of the people who think that they want another prem, they want a three-peat? Do they just shut up and just keep quiet and watch the team
nobody's asking.
do badly?
No,
Because Veda has asked a very smart question, because he says,
Patrick,
"What if this performance happens again?" Because let's not lie to ourselves. Even Fulham,
yeah, but Patrick,
Fulham
I'm not
was just luck.
Patrick, I'm not saying they should shut up. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just giving you
No.
and science that I've observed. I'm saying if it happens, it happens. We move. What are we going to do? Cry? Knock up?
I think what Carl is saying is, how far do we go with the meltdowns here?
Yeah.
Do we go to a point of the meltdown of Pep, see you later?
I don't think so.
Half the team.
But I think.
No, but what I'm saying is, Pat.
You know what I'm hearing? And are we frozen? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Martin.
Which is fine. You can question the manager. I'm not saying you can't. 100%. He makes mistakes. He's human. We know that. Pep lives on the border of genius and madness. But if you push too far, he's already indicated it. I'll go. I'll walk.
But oh wait, calm down. Now calm down. That's where I think, Martin, you lose me. So you're trying to tell me that I know, look, I understand and I appreciate and I think what Pep has done for this club, and Pep will obviously go down as the best recent to Man City. But you're telling me that you are scared to question him. Let's say, for instance, we go to a UCL final this year, right? And he messes up again. None of you guys will say anything because you're scared he might leave.
No, Pat, you can criticise him. I think the criticism's going OTT at the minute. I think it's going way over
about constructive criticism. Yeah, not the Martin. We're not talking about those idiots who say Pep out.
But the trouble is,
about the Pep out. Those are just kids.
No, but there's a lot of idiots at the minute.
What I'm hearing.
No, but Pat, there's a lot of people who are long-time Blues who have big platforms that are saying the worst performance ever under Pep. No, it wasn't. It just wasn't.
I have seen worse. I remember the Tottenham 4-1 or 4-0. And I remember the Everton game where we got slapped. Lukaku price tag went up. That was worse.
No, but this one, what my point is, Pat, there's a lot of long-term, high-profile Blue accounts that are saying it's the worst. It was embarrassing. So I've even heard, and I won't say. I was listening to the podcast earlier. I've even heard the word crisis mentioned.
You know what it is, Martin? We are as a fan, we are too reactionary, because I remember saying on the space before the game, the Southampton game, I said,
do you want some of the meat?
Yeah, I said, look, if we win it, we win it. If we go through, yeah, if we beat Southampton, we go through, great, you know. If we don't, you know, it wasn't meant to be. We've got bigger fish to worry about, you know, and concentrate on. But you know what it is? Some of us as a fan base here, we are too reactionary.
Yeah, Adam, this
there's a lot of background noise from somebody with glasses or cups. I mean, have a lunch. What are you cooking?
I think that's bad.
No, I'm so sorry about that. Just what's happening is my mic on this phone, right, Carl? It's free and freezing. I tried to get myself on my tablet. It said I couldn't. So because I'm walking around, let me.
Okay.
So Adam, back to you. I mean, Arsenal got beat 4-1 in the Carabao Cup and they were out. None of their fans went to meltdown. No, it just didn't. So I asked myself the question: you've won it 4 times. You have,
you know what it is,
a crazy schedule coming up. Yes, it was a bad performance, but what other game Veta can this man experiment with apart from this game? There's no other game he can experiment.
Absolutely right. I think, and again, it's not even I think, because I know, unfortunately, and it's been joked about, there were some fans that were honestly contemplating the Q word.
Oh, God.
This going into this week, I kid you not, they were throwing that out there. So that bringing back, being pulled back down to earth, and actually losing that arrogance to not have to actually say those words, because to say that is very arrogant. It's too early in the season to be able to be throwing that out there. So a lot of the meltdown for them, talking with big chest about pursuing that, that's where that's coming from. But what I want to bring back up, which the light bulb went off when I was listening to you and Martin, is that
Vader,
if-
before
if
you go, Vader, let me ask you a question, Vader. Which team right now in England has the chance of winning the Premier League, the Champions League, and the FA Cup? Which team? Which is the only team right now?
they're to win all four, I don't believe
No,
there's
no.
a team that can
Which
still
team
win it.
right now in the Premier League right now? And I'm not saying they're going to do it, right? Which team has the chance of winning the Premier League, the Champions League, and the FA Cup? Which team?
Oh,
The
it's
realistic
only
team.
us.
There's only one. City.
Yeah. Yeah.
With all the meltdown and all the madness and all the bad performances, the only club right now who conceivably could do all three, Liverpool are far
Yeah.
away, Chelsea are way away, they're out of the FA Cup, right?
Yeah.
Liverpool have to climb up to the top of the league, that's going to be very difficult, or the
Right.
Champions League. City are the only ones right now with a realistic chance of doing all three. Not that they're going to do it.
Yeah.
So again, calm heads, clear minds. We are where we are. We will
I mean,
improve
can I
it.
say, Cal,
Sorry,
Charlie's
but-
just put a comment there. Sorry, go on there.
Yeah, just before, I was just going to say, listening to you, Martin, and you, Carl, what I'm hearing, right? And you guys bring up human nature and winning every match realistically, let's be real, that's not going to happen. But what I'm hearing, and some of the quotes that are coming out from the players and obviously from our manager, is that if the players aren't showing to have the same fight, the same hunger, the same desire for, and more importantly, yes, I get it. Carabao Cup, been there, done that. Maybe they're looking long term, but if they're not showing that they're listening to for the instructions to have the same hunger, the same desire, whether it's pressing, whether it's executing, then it's not the manager we should be questioning. It's the players and whether they remain here. If there's players that have been there, done that, and they're not showing the same desire, they're the ones that need to be out the door. So the criticism that we kind of had of them with this performance, if we continue to see it, we're going to have to be saying bye-bye, guys, because the hunger and desire needs to remain for the goals to be
Sure.
accomplished.
Sorry,
I
Victor,
agree
to
with
cut you off.
Then I ask
Sorry
the
to cut
question,
you off.
But then I ask the
Martin
question,
pretty much.
but
Sorry to cut you off, but Martin pretty much just stated it in his show where he said, "Listen, if these players are not showing the desire and the hunger, and their attitude ain't right, all that they're doing is just pushing themselves out of the club because Pep is just going to
But
get rid of them and replace them."
But then I asked the question, 3 days before this game, you bossed Chelsea off the field, 4-0, with pressing, with desire, with hunger. So the question for me is not the fact that these kids don't have it. The question is what makes them perform against Chelsea and Liverpool and United and not perform against Southampton and Brentford and Everton? That's the question that needs to be asked. I guarantee you, that's the question that Pep is asking, is that why can you perform against these big boys and not have the same energy against these small boys? What do I have to fix? That's the question, Vader.
Yeah,
Seriously.
it's a very good question. I mean, Charlie just put that these fans don't have any influence, though. They do. Some do. I mentioned it in the private part of this. I'm not going to mention it on air because I don't want a civil war. But there are people who have mentioned, who have got big accounts, who have got an influence to the fan base, who are mentioning the C word. Not the Q word, the C word of crisis. If second is a crisis, then I don't want to see. What you're saying is it's first or nothing, and that is the mentality that we all said we hate. That's what worries me now. We are second. We have scored the most goals in the league. Pep said with this change, has Pep not done enough? Has he not earned the right to rebuild this team? Has he not earned that right with us to rebuild this team at least?
I think what Martin just said is really instrumental. So it's first or nothing. Is that what we're going
That's
to?
what scares me.
Every
This is
single
what
year?
scares me.
Patrick, is it
I
first
want a
or
trophy
nothing?
every year, and that's it.
Like, can you hear me?
Patrick, yeah.
Yeah.
Is it first
Yeah,
or
look.
nothing now?
Nah, man. Look, at the end of the day, you know me. For me, to be honest with you, this is the reason why you can understand why I think you and me sometimes, regardless, sometimes when we have a few debates, heated debate, we still come to an understanding because I just don't say things sometimes. I study, then when somebody says something, Martin is right about the influence because I am not a big account. I have just 2K followers on Twitter. Sometimes, Martin, I'm surprised when I say something, I get inboxed in my DM'd on Twitter. Somebody saying I support what you just said, even if it was the hero of the moment. I think I said something once, and I was like, "Oh my God, I shouldn't have said that." I think after the Champions League, and I had few people who were supporting me, saying, "You're right, we're going to follow you." And you see, this is how it is. So you're right, Martin. If somebody has a big account, they have to be careful what they say. I know sometimes somebody has to express themselves because you're a human being, but you have to control, because once you say something, especially someone with tough influence, all of us here have got influence, believe it or not. But for me, it's not first or nothing. To be honest with you guys, and some people are going to hate me, if we end up winning nothing this season, I don't see a tear out of my eye. As long as I see there's a rebuild happening. You hear that, Martin? Like, as long as what you're saying is true, because I see Maximo Peron being bought as a midfielder, is coming in for the first team. If I see these people like Gomez, Palmer continuing to play, and we're building towards the future, even if we lose, it's building towards the future. Give Man City a break. What about some of your clubs? Your clubs have had breaks. United have been losing, holding L's over and over again. Chelsea have spent 400 million since the beginning of this season. If you add in Kunku, they've spent 200 with Frank Lampard. They spent so much, almost 1.3 billion. If you could calculate everything within a short period, they only won one UCL, and this and obviously some of them try to floss the World Cup, but they've been given a chance to say, "Oh, they're rebuilding." Give City a rebuild. The City have dominated you for a while. Give them a chance to rebuild too. So for me, I won't mind if we come out empty-handed, as long as these kids are given opportunity. Because I'm telling you this, and I'm telling you this right now. When some of you guys, you're shameless. I know who you are, but I'm not going to mention your names on Twitter. We were together, slating Rodri as the slowest person we've ever seen, saying this guy will never replace Fernandinho. We need somebody else. Now, all of a sudden, that same energy is being thrown at Phillips. Yeah, give these people time. When you come to this City team, you need time, unfortunately. And as Mark says, I agree with him. The team is changing. It's going towards another end. But the thing is this, what I also understand from the fan base is, especially some younger fan base people, let's say, for instance, somebody who's 18, who's been seeing City win ever since, what they're going to do is they're going to overreact because winning has been fed to them. That's how you're going to do. So you're going to get a lot of overreaction. During this rebuild, they will be confused, like, what's the rebuild? What's going on here? You know what I mean? The same thing as Chelsea, Man United. The other guys were more calm, just saying we want our Man United back, but they were more calm. But the new generation were like, we want success right now. So I think that's what's happening here, Carl. At the end, to be honest with you, if this is our rebuild and if Arsenal are better than us, they win the league, it's not like they're winning it by fluke or being favored by VAR, like a certain team during lockdown that was getting these. But these guys are legit going to be champions. If that's it, we hold the L, we rebuild, and Pep is a genius, and Pep will be given everything he wants. That's why I'm saying all these players he picks, all these kids, Phillips, everybody, he knows what he's doing. It's just that your Pep will experiment. You know what you got when you got Pep experiments. We know what we're going to get. So let's be surprised.
The very first season, we all went, well, he's got collar off, he's got cliche. And we were getting smacked 4 and 5s by a lot of teams. A lot of teams low down. And everyone went, and all Pep kept saying was, I just need to get my team. And then in the summer, we got Edison, we got somebody who we won't mention, we bought other people, and we spent about 150, 200 million in that summer. If you remember, listen, I know he's Marmite to some people. There is a reason why City have gone after Bellingham. He's 19. He's got leadership qualities. The other thing I will say, we haven't got a leader in that dressing room anymore, which is quite sad. Kevin De Bruyne is not a shouter and a baller. Diaz is probably the only one. And even Diaz has said publicly, I'm not grading it. Some players, we don't have a Fernandinho. He'll stand up and rollick people anymore. I
think Diaz is missed. Martin, I think Diaz is highly missed. I think people underrated him because I know people like he makes 2 players say, oh my God, Diaz talks. And they know he will talk and he will shout at you. And if you notice this, regardless, people have been saying, oh, Diaz, one season wonder, oh, he was making mistakes. Look at Diaz's games when he played. We were not conceding much. He fixes that defense. He talks. He will shout in your ear and say, let's get in line. So I think he's also something that we're missing.
Yeah, but Laporte last night, Rolly Gomez, he told Gomez where to go last night, basically. And I'm sorry it just has to. If we get to the summer and we get Bellingham and we get a winger and we get a natural left back and people leave, which they will. We all know Gundogan's probably going to go. We know Bernardo's probably going to go. We know there's one or two others that are going to go. But it's then just getting that building block back in. It was never going to get done in one summer. Even though we're rich, doesn't mean we can do Chelsea and just keep slap. Chelsea are going to get bit in the arse very soon, and they don't realise it. They really don't realise it. But they're going to get bit in the arse. Arsenal have just bought a kid. This guy, I can't remember the guy. It begins with M. Do you know how much they're paying him on wages?
Modric.
Modric. Do you know how much they're paying him on wages? £37,000 a week. Do you think these top players at Arsenal, to keep winning titles, do you think they're going to keep being able to roll out 37,000 a week at players? No, they're not. So in the end, it'll come back and bite them in the rear end. You've got to get that balance between Arsenal are not building to stay at the top because they're not doing it the right way. They're not giving the players the correct thing. They're doing it the Tottenham way, the tight way. They're trying to win leagues on a budget, which is fine for a season. It's not something that will be able to be continued for 5 years. They are going to have to up things.
We've been going for about an hour, and I want to wrap it up in the next couple of minutes. But the title of the show, again, is Calm Heads and Clear Minds. We're trying to bring a perspective to our fan base to say, guys, this is normal. This happens every year to us. It happens every year. I remember the Leicester 5-2 at home, then the meltdown, the West Brom game and the meltdown. Even in the Centurion season, Martin, 1-1 against Everton at home, red card for Walker. Remember that? 1-1.
Yep. Do you all remember Eric Garcia?
So, calm heads, clear mind. We will be fine. Whether we lose, we draw, we don't win, whatever it is. We have nothing to. There's only one thing we need to prove right now. And that's all big ears. Everything else, there's nothing else to prove. Maybe 3 in a row. Martin wants 3 in a row, so I'll give Martin 3 in a row. But let's just relax. Let's see what they do on the weekend. If they're up for it and they fight and they work hard and they press and they still lose, what do we say then? What do we say then? They lost away to United, a contender away, but they fought and they tried and they hustled. It is what it is. It's football. My point is we don't win every single game. It's impossible. Even in FIFA, you don't win every single game in FIFA. Correct me if I'm wrong, those who play FIFA, Adam. Right? Even in FIFA, you don't win every single game.
No, I disagree with that. I always win every single game. I win every game, but I get out of cheat mode. You're spot on. And listen, it's not every fan. There's people like Charlie in the comments who is a very level-headed young lad. So some people, are very level. What worries me at the minute, there is some big influences. This is not even a new fan, old fan debate. There's a lot of old fans, dinosaurs like me, that have hit the meltdown button. It will happen. People will have. But to me, I will not judge. This season, I've always took as last season. Really, our squad didn't deserve to win the league the way we were. I spent all last season going, we haven't got the biggest squad. We scraped over the line. Got to remember, last year, we scraped over that line to win the title last year. We didn't win it at a canter. We weren't playing fabulous football. We scraped over the line with Laporte having pain-killing injections. Yep. We were having to. This happens. So if this year's the year we fall short, then fair play. Congratulations to whoever does. But I tell you what, we will correct it in the summer. We will correct it in the summer, and we'll go again. And I tell you what, look out for everyone else next summer. Because I'll tell you what to say, a hurt animal is one of the most dangerous animals.
Well, and Patrick and Adam, you know me and my anti-Bellingham thing, right? I'm at the point now where Martin gave me an argument. And he gave me an argument that I felt was superior to my own argument. And now I'm reconsidering what he's saying. right? About, okay, De Bruyne is getting older. De Bruyne is a transition guy. Bellingham is a transition guy. He's not a possession guy. Maybe this can actually work. Are you following
Andy's
me,
a
Adam?
leader. Andy's a leader.
Are you following me, Patrick and Adam? So
Hmm.
again, when I talk about calm heads and clear minds, I'm talking about my own self, about, okay, maybe I haven't been calm-headed and clear-minded about my view on Jude Bellingham. Maybe I need to reconsider what he adds to us rather than what we add to him.
That's the biggest.
following
That's the
me?
biggest. That's the biggest W you've got by admitting that. Maybe they have to change. Maybe Pep excuse me. Sorry. Pep looks at this team and says, maybe I have to change. Maybe you and me and other people, when we were looking at Jude and the way he plays football, we're like, maybe we can never do this. But Pep changes all the time. I don't think Pep wants for years and years just to be known as the tiki-taka guy. Maybe the reason why he's bringing some certain players, some certain profile, is I want to change football into a certain way. Don't forget, when he was trying to change things at Barcelona, he got a bit of rejection. When he was trying to get things changed in England, he was getting rejected, being laughed at, saying you can never do this football in England. But now, even Sunday League, I watched a clip of Sunday League playing from the back. Right now in FIFA, since FIFA is an example sometimes, Martin, people in FIFA used to do hoofball, over the top hoofball. Pep right now, believe it or not, with his influence, everybody wants to pass from the back, and the keepers that that are bought in FIFA majority of the time is Edison, who's expensive, who's got nice passing. So you see how this man has not only changed football on the pitch, he changes football everywhere. I bet you if Pep changes something on how to play football, everybody will look at it and say, "Oh, Pep has changed. Let's get into that." So give the man time to cook. At the end of the day, as I said, he also comes with a risk. He will decide to cook during a UCL final, or cook during a semi-final, or cook during a very important game. But Pep is Pep. It is what you get, He's done so much for the club. I think it's 12 leagues now, 12 or 13 or 11. A lot of them. Why some people, even though they claim they've won every trophy, but they've won only one Premier League in a long, long time, and I've spent so much. We won't mention him. His name is Klopp. I'll still mention him anyway. Let's be shameless. But I look. What I'm looking for is just positivity. It's just that I think, as I'm with Veta, I think these players have done so much for us and have done so much for the club. But I'm also with Martin and Veta. If some of these players feel, as Pep said, "Oh, I have won 5 Premier Leagues. Why should I bother?" Well, mate, then maybe step on and go somewhere else. Maybe the ambitions are not for you, because I don't think fans will pay the hard-earned money. I don't think Martin will travel. Yeah. Martin will park outside the Etihad for him to watch somebody give it less percentage just because they don't want the Prem. Well, here's the question for some players, and I know some players maybe might watch this. If you have won the Prem 5 times or 4 times and you feel like it's not well, then go win the Champions League. Go carry the Champions League and bring it back home. Then, if that's what your ambition is. But the thing is, trust me, the thing is, a lot of fans love the Prem. And if these players start performing like this in the Prem, I'm telling you, there will be people talking. Because trust me, even back home, when you pay money and you go into the stadium and your players are walking, oh my God, the fans in my country. They'll be up the game.
I think, just to wrap up, everyone, I'll give everybody a chance to kind of finish up. But let's give them the benefit of that. They've done it for over 5 years. They have a rough patch. They're only 5 points behind. They still have to play Arsenal twice. Even if we lose to United and Arsenal win against Tottenham, it's just, it's 8 points. But we still have to play them twice. Worst case scenario. So let's reserve judgment till we see where we are in like March, April. Then we can say, okay, we know we're far away or we're close by, or let's see what's happening. But the history tells us that this team are able to come back from a disappointment and run ragged over the league. They showed it to us time and time again. So let's
you know what? Sorry, go on, Cal.
And let's give them the benefit of that, Martin. I'll let Martin, Adam, and Patrick guys wrap up.
Yeah, it's just you got to look at who we've been linked with. The players who we are strongly linked with. Gavardio, 21, 22. Bellingham, 19. Perone, 19. Alvarez, 22. Haaland, 22. He's bringing in players that will go for 10 years is rebuilding. I have no problem with a fan being upset about a performance. I was upset about the performance. But if any manager deserves to have an off season, it's Pep Guardiola. I'm sorry, I'm not making excuses, but if anyone is allowed an off season, it's Pep. And that's not because he's earned that from me. From me personally, he's earned it. He's earned that time to rebuild, readjust, go again. If we don't win anything next year, it's not the end of the world. Keep saying it. Did you start? Nobody here and nobody in the comments started supporting Manchester City because we were lifting silverware. It's in your blood. It's in your heart. That will never leave you. But let's not throw words out like crisis. Let's not throw words out like, I'm questioning Pep. Maybe he should quit. Come on. That is way over the top. Way up. Let's keep calm. By March and April, we'll know where Bellingham's going to go. If it's not us, fair play to whoever gets him. But we will know by March exactly where Bellingham will be. Because you'll get the same announcement you did with Haaland. We'll know where a lot. City are not dumb. Behind the scenes, they are working. Let them work. If this is an off-season, fair play. We're just winning FA Cup, fair play. Whatever it is, just remember, we sing City till we die. That's what we are. We don't sing City till we don't win anymore. That isn't what we sing. But we're second. Second is not a crisis. I'm sorry. Second is not a crisis.
Adam,
Just
you there?
me.
Any last words? He's up there. Patrick, any last words? Okay. So my parting words to everyone is I want to thank everybody for joining the show today. Again, it's about calm heads and clear minds. One thing I will say is we are different than our friends at Liverpool and friends at United. What makes us special is that even in the bad times, we're able to stick together and find solutions to these challenges. We don't melt down and throw our players away.
Yeah, can you hear me, Carl?
And tell the manager, you wrap up for us, Patrick, and tell the manager to go away.
Okay.
We stick together. We fight together. We work together. We believe together, right? And if it doesn't go right, we stay on and we fight and we keep fighting for our club. That's what makes us Blues, makes us special. We don't melt down and talk about, I saw a guy today on Twitter saying he's going to kill himself. Seriously? Because you lost against Southampton in the Carabao Cup? I saw that today, Martin. I was beside myself. I couldn't.
Jesus,
I couldn't.
I'll tell you what. I can't imagine. I'm going to be a dinosaur here, but I can't imagine him being at Bootham Crescent against York. Jesus, 14th in Division 2.
Incredible. Patrick, wrap us up, please. Wrap us up.
Nah, look, at the end of the day, it is what it is, It is what it is. The crisis thing, Martin, I'm also with you. I don't... What a crisis then. Because if we were talking about a crisis, we'll be talking about Chelsea. Chelsea is having a crisis. No, we're all good. Look, at the end of the day, I think we just have to accept that. Oh, sorry. Thanks to Martin, though. I thank Martin for talking about the rebuild thing. Because thinking about it right now, I think that's what we're in. I think a lot of people will be moved on. You never know. You'd be surprised. There might be a massive move on. And let's not forget, this is the same Pep Guardiola who got rid of Ronaldinho, Eto'o, Zlatan, all these big Deco, all these big players at Barcelona to bring academy kids for him to be able to complete a rebuild and have players who listen to him. You may never know that Rico always is the first level, and then Martin, out of nowhere, our dreams come true. He starts calling back people like Marketing, you know what I mean? And that was his plan all along, saying, okay, if these people don't want to listen to me, and if the rebuild is going this way, you never know. We just have to wait and see what the guy is cooking, He's got 3 to 2 more years. Let him cook. Let him do whatever he is. I'm in for the ride, man. I'm too old right now to start going elsewhere or doing anything. I'm very old for that. So yeah, so it's City till we die, and we're here to the end. And whatever happens, happens.
Whatever happens,
at the end of the day, as long as we see performances, If we see chop and change for certain reasons, let's just go with it. All I can say is please leave the youth, the young guys alone. If they suck, they suck, but don't tweet it. Just let them go in peace. If maybe they're not that good, leave them alone then. Let them go, because at the end of the day, I'm looking at these young kids being attacked while there's senior players that are stinking out the place. So don't do this. Just let them go. If you don't like Palmer, think that maybe Palmer is not good enough, leave him. If the club thinks so, they will let him go in summer on loan. You know this club never takes time. If Gomez, they don't rate him, I'm pretty sure in loan we'll see him in Girona or somewhere else, or some Premier League team. It looks like Juventus are interested in Gomez, believe it or not. So you never know. If Phillips is not good enough, then maybe you find Declan Rice is showing up. Maybe that's what you want, majority of you. Let's just wait and see what the club does. Let's just stop panicking. At the end of the day, as long as this, as long as this performance is.
I'm only crying. Listen, I respect everyone's opinions, and it's your opinion, but I just cry when I see comments like that. Sorry, but I do. It makes me cry when I'll accept second. I'll accept second if we win the Champions League. Oh, I want to cry.
Guys, I mean, you've been graced to listen and watch this discussion between Martin, myself, Feta, Patrick, Adam. You know, this is kind of what we talk about on WhatsApp, right? Where we have these debates. And many of you have seen me and Martin go at it on Twitter. Trust me, you don't see the beauty, the other side of it, where we have these debates and we have these arguments, because we're trying to convince each other of what we think. And sometimes Martin gets it, sometimes I get it. And we all, Patrick and I used to have vigorous debates. But one thing is common amongst all of us. We love the club. Old, new, dinosaur, Freebird, whatever it is. We love the club and we bleed blue and we understand where we are. And we know what we've been and what we've done. And all we can do right now is give these guys time and give them a rope to play this whole season out. And then we can see where we are. Because after all this said and done, we're still the champions of England. And until May comes, we shall still be champions of England. So thanks for a great show, guys. Martin, follow Martin on the Mancunian Way. He's on Twitter. He's on YouTube. Follow Patrick, True City Fan. Patrick is also Pitch Point. He's also Football and Chills. He's everything. Follow Adam, right, on Twitter. And follow me on Pitch Point. Follow me on Twitter at the Golden Lorian. But I just wanted to have a
Derby preview tonight. Derby preview tonight. RFA.
Yeah, I'll be preview on Martin's channel. I'll be there. So I'm looking forward to it. I normally don't do this.
Martin, sorry. What time is the show?
Half eight.
I'll be there, but then that means I'll do my space on Friday then, so it doesn't clash with your show.
No worries, mate.
All right, guys. So let's all join Martin later on today at 8:30 UK. That's at 3:30 US. I'll be there. I hope to see you guys there. Till next time, stay blessed.